What we'd like to do is give you very much of an insight today into Priva, who we are, what we do. The primary focus of this will be around cloud. Really, it's how we add cloud-based digital services to an existing site, new sites, and really what those services are able to offer. There's quite a lot to get through. I don't intend this to be a death at all by PowerPoint. What I'd like to do is have some time at the end to play in one of the environments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run up the presentation. Excuse me. So hopefully all you guys can see this now and my laser pointer there as well. So first of all, just like to tell you really who Priva are. We're actually in our 66th year, and Priva itself is an acronym of two names, Prins and Valk. The two guys actually started the business. Jan Prins really developed the business. Cor Valk actually passed over. He died in the 70s, I believe. But the family, the Prins family, is still very much paramount and major shareholders in the Priva business. Now we have 15 offices. We've got in excess of 600 colleagues. We've done in excess of 70,000 projects globally. All of these projects are delivered through our fully trained and supported network of Priva partners, and we're installed in over 100 countries globally. Our primary system is Priva Blue ID, and I'm not going to cover all of the range today with obviously the time we have. But what's important to know is that looking at the two main plant controllers that we have within Blue ID itself, those controllers are backnet building controllers. We've always been from the very far by default a very open manufacturer. Importantly, you'll see here that this controller will support any sensor type, but manufacturer independent. You can write your own lookup tables as well. The reason really is retrofit is a very, very large part of our business, and it's absolutely paramount that we can put this technology onto existing networks where needed for retrofit. Okay, we make that as seamless as possible for everybody. Okay. So looking at the technology itself, you see on the S-Line controller, modules with or without manual override. This is actually the controller itself. But then we have the network module to the left-hand side here. So, for example, just an example, patch into a network here, and then we'd switch onto another device on the network. But looking to the left-hand side here, this is the integration side. In this case, it's 232, and this will really depend on the integration protocol that we intend to use or that the project requires. The other main plant controller is the C4 controller. Once again, a backnet building controller, so open, freely programmable. Anything that you've engineered within the database of this controllers is freely available to other devices, other manufacturers like with on that network, with or without manual override. And this controller is expanded up to 84 hardwired I/O. A big part of retrofit is being able to run Ethernet speed across existing networks. Now, one of the limitations, you guys, I guess there's other manufacturers here as well. If you guys will communicate using IP protocol, some of the limitations there of Cat5 and Cat6e cabling using 10BASE-T networking principles is the limitation of 100 meters between two devices. We use now a third-party module, now the O-ring module. What this lets us do is put this Ethernet connectivity over to our existing network, but we still get Ethernet speeds of between 20 and 200 megabits per second, network depending. As I said before, we're very much an open manufacturer, so you're going to recognize here some of the standard integration protocols that exist across the various layers of a BMS network. But then in addition to that, you'll see here, we also have other manufacturers' protocols that we support as well. The idea is we just enable the technology in the controller itself by adding one of these drivers. And then really it's just a passage of data in and out of our controller, if you like, along that network. I'm not going to cover the room control solutions today because of the time we have. And indeed, we have various graphic options. But really where I want to go to this and where I'd like to go really is with cloud. So looking at cloud itself, one of the big buzzwords is the phrase Internet of Things, IoT. I'm not sure of the full skill set available within this presentation today, so apologies for the guys that already know this. But the concept of IoT, Internet of Things, what is that? What does that mean? Um, this I pulled from the internet. It's the concept of connecting two devices with an on-off switch to each other via the internet. This is actually a pretty good representation. So the idea is we can communicate to this device over here using the mechanism of cloud. Once we have that in place, we then have the ability to transfer data without requiring human interaction. So how do we do it? How do we connect a site to the cloud? In this case, we could have a Priva system. We could indeed have a third-party system. What we need to do is you have to have one of our controllers on there, the network, just to bring it into our world. We are Priva, end of the day. What we do is this could be an open protocol, Modbus, BACnet, whatever, to bring these values into this database of this controller. And then we add one of our edge gateways, and then this will connect securely to the cloud. Once you have that connection in place, we then have the ability to communicate with this network from any device, anywhere, and at any time. Important to remember, I connect this side as a user with various applications, if you like. I can connect to many sites, but one thing to remember is if there's no network in place between these two sites, you will have to add a separate cloud connection to each of the individual buildings or indeed individual networks. But once that's in place, this side of it, this connectivity here, in this environment here, this is really seamless how we jump between buildings, sites, and indeed applications. But a very important thing to remember, if I'm connecting this side with my laptop using the engineering software that we used to originally commission these projects, using something that we call remote management, I can actually commission a project of any size, recommission, make changes, if you like, to the actual strategy itself using remote management via the cloud. This is where cloud is very, 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 very powerful. One of the things to consider with cloud is also the platform. Where does that sit? Where do your applications, or what we call platform as a service, sorry, software as a service applications actually sit? In the Priva case, the Priva world, this is actually Microsoft Azure. We felt from the very start that this was the most complete platform available today. End of the day, it's Microsoft. It meets every global standard for the data storage and indeed the deployment of cloud-based digital services. Not only in areas, global territories across the world, but also in different industry sectors as well. So it's always worth considering if we talk to end users, the compliance and the security aspects of the platform that's actually hosting the services that they use. Excuse me. One of those services, as an example, when you put your password into the Priva cloud, that's all managed by one of the components called the Azure Active Directory. Now that falls in line with a global standard called ISO IEC 27018, which relates to passwords. We never will legally be able to see your passwords that you've created in the Priva cloud. And part of that, this standard means it's audited a number of times in a year. So the connection, important to remember with cloud, the device, PC, tablet, phone, whatever, does not communicate directly to this network. It communicates to the cloud. What I'm going to cover in the next few slides really is how that mechanism works, how we securely connect, the way it's done securely. Apologies for the guys in the room that already know this, but I think it's important that we get this message across and cover the security aspects. So to get the connection from this site, the data, if you like, to the cloud, what we do is we use a technology called secured access signature. Effectively, what it is, it uses a dedicated URL. And what we do is we do a metadata upload of data. This is the known values that we need and require for integration and communication with the BMS network. For those that are not aware, an example of metadata in, say, an email, using that as an example, would be who the date and the time that the email was sent, who the email was sent to, the heading, the subject matter, but not the actual details of the email below. That's really what metadata is in an overview. So the connection is made using the metadata upload to the cloud, and it's only using outgoing ports. So these are the ports that we use, the standard ports. Some of you guys may recognize here as well, but important to see these are only outgoing ports. It's only outgoing data. There's no internal connection to this site. It's not like a VPN. This is pulling data up to the cloud-based data set. The Edge Gateway itself, I'm going to cover in the next few slides how it connects. You can purchase or loan this as part of a Priva cloud-based services subscription. It used to be, a lot of people used to loan them, but more and more now we're seeing people actually buying these. One of the things to remember is that say, for example, if you have a PC or a server, at some date things are going to need to be updated. You have to click and allow those things to happen. This will all be done automatically for you. It's very much part of what we do to ensure that the latest security patches, updates, whatever are done. And the same thing with the digital services as well. You'll log in and see any changes and security things that need to be made are all done as part of the subscription for the services that you use. So looking at the actual Edge Gateway itself, this has two segments to it. One side connects to the building controls network, your BMS network. The other side connects to the internet. There is built-in firewall security within this device. It's an IoT device, as I mentioned earlier. Apologies, I'm going to get a little bit techie for the non-techie guys in the room. But how it works, if we're looking at, first of all, this side, the BMS network side, you'll see here the IP range, third integer is your network segment. And then simply we have devices 10, 11, 12 BMS controllers. The actual gateway itself, you'll see this is device number 13 on this side of this network. The middle port there is used for connecting and actually setting up the actual device when it's actually set up on site. But this port here, port 1, I think it is in this example here, this will connect to the client's network and then indeed the cloud using the client's broadband router, for example. We don't necessarily need an address in the client's network. You may be given one and put this on an IP address. But if you have, as most people do now, have a DHCP server, this can just sit in a dynamic address, as your PC will be doing probably now from home. It sits on a dynamic address. So we don't necessarily need an address on that network. If your client says, I don't want you to be anywhere near my network, we have some very big sites where we've done exactly this. We just put this side of the connection to get the data off the site via the cloud is done using a 4G router. So there's no connection at all. It's totally separate from the client's network. And please be aware, this doesn't really have any effect on speed at all or the amount of data. It's very low amounts of data that are actually required, and the speed of this is pretty much instantaneous as well. We're going to cover, hopefully at the end, some of these. I hope to actually run onto some of these actual applications that we have in the live environments. But what we can do with cloud, yes, we can, in a single environment, access to multiple sites. We can view and adjust. We can look at energy monitoring data. We can monitor and respond to alarms. All the alarms come into a central place. And we can also create some very powerful automatic reporting, which now gives us KPI analysis as well. Look at what's really going on with the mechanical plants, in response to requests from the BMS network. The idea is we log into a single environment and then we can jump to all our applications from any device. So in this case, this could be a tablet. And in this case, you'll see you have access to all your sites. You can click down here and drop the menu of all the sites. Here we have an app switcher. So the idea is we can log into not only our sites, but also any of the applications that we're using within what we call that tenant, that particular tenant. Important to remember, one of the main benefits really is graphics on any device, whether it's PC, tablet, or indeed phone. These graphics are written in a language called HTML5. One of the main benefits of that is something called vector scaling. So for example, if you have a photograph on your phone, you expand it, it will make the whole image larger. So in this case, we're landscape on a larger tablet here on a phone. We can zoom into the same area here to get to this button to make it usable, if you like. So there's no limitation on the size of the device that we want to actually use to access this. I'm going to talk about cloud history. Now, important to remember if you have a PC or a server and you're using large amounts of data, at some time you will exhaust the capacity of that PC or server. It just happens. That's not going to happen with cloud. And importantly, data is passed up to the cloud every 5 minutes. And it really looks at how we want to visualize and look at this data. Sorry, just jumped on there. So it depends if it's 3 months, 26 months, even longer if you want to. But because of that, we're able to do some very, very powerful things. One thing is we're able to create an email out, reports to people on data usage. And in this instance, it's just a temperature report that's been created for not only temperatures, there's also CO2 in there. If I click on these to de-highlight them, it'll maybe look at the CO2 report. We can get this in CSV format if we want to as well. Some packages, I think there's an I2N request that the data is sent out in CSV format. We can do that as well. Alarm notification is handled. Like I said, all the alarms go through to an area called the notification center. We can receive those alarms if you want to on our phone as well in a free app. Obviously, that app, Priva Alarms, it's called, that will then need a required user login to actually access that. But once it's set up, it is quite seamless. But like I said, the alarms come into the notification center. This is very, very powerful. We can look at the activated filter, activated, deactivated sites, alarms for all our sites. We can filter in a keyword here as well to find it just into individual alarms. But more importantly, each notification has a URL in there. Click on that URL, takes you straight through to the site, the piece of plant, actually where that alarm is. Okay, we have an energy package, energy insight. This is energy usage. It's all part of the same suite. This is actually managed by a company that we bought called Van Beek Engineering. The product's called Urbis. Google that if you want to find out actually what it is. But it's full on energy package. It will give you consumption, gas, electricity, water. Looking at this year against previous years. We can look at load duration. We can look at heat maps, actually where there are increased load periods, for example. And we can also create automatic reporting for this as well to send out reports on this. How cloud works, really the Priva world works, is the data is pulled and it uses APIs, application program interfaces. But importantly, what they do is they enable software packages to talk to each other via algorithms, which means that we are also able to connect to third-party packages if requested. So just a brief overview of how that works. There's two main types of API. If your customer has a specific package, we have a historical data API. This should be stuff like temperature values, for example. But important to remember how this works is it's done on request. So the third-party package will request to get that data from our cloud data set on request. I'll cover this in a second, actually, how this works in sort of in an overview. But if you want to pull push data, actually gets those set point requests. It works in a different mechanism. The application, everything goes through something called a customer event hub. So, for example, if you want, say, a historical data, we can pull that out. But if you want to change a value, say a set point adjustment from the BMS side to vary something in an application, that change of value update comes in through the event up into the customer application. Going to get a little bit techie. But really how it works, I don't know if any of you guys have seen someone called Postman. What Postman does, it allows you to make queries to JSON scripts, if you like. This is the JSON world. You'll see here JSON. But what we actually have is how it works is the actual application itself queries a tenant, and then really it's the values that we want within that tenant. In this case, it's a timestamp on a temperature. So you'll see here, you've got the date, and then you've got the time 35, 40, 45, 5-minute intervals. You'll see the actual value changes. Okay. Conscious of your time. So let's look at, we have something called Buildium. This was created really in the COVID period. The idea was that we can create a number of QR code scans. You could either fix this on the wall or use this once and save this URL for actually when you're within a building. The idea is that you scan your QR code, and then that will then give you a, there we go. It will give you actually a landing page, and it really depends what you've configured in each of the rooms that you're actually using. So click on either one of these. I'll give you 3 examples, and it will give you, for example, on room control, what we're able to do is just, it could be a temperature set point, the light value, for example, slide this up or down, and it'll actually change the light value, the control value, all done from your phone. Scan the QR code, gives you the landing page and does it as well. We can also have something called customer voting, complain when it's too warm or too cold. One of the things that people find enjoyable to use is report a problem. Something else, what you're able to do is take a photograph. My coffee cup is empty. I'd like another cup of coffee, please. This sends an email to you as well if you set up in there as well for using this as well. But the big one, excuse me, I just want to have a quick drink. The big one that everyone's talking about now is AI, digital twins, and really how that comes into the cloud world that we now know and work with. We have a platform called Eco Building, and this comes in different areas. So let's just look at an existing building itself, which has got mechanical plant in there, heat pumps, buffer vessels. In this case, we've got PV cells, but also we could bring weather influence into this. We have a BMS control system which will sit on top of this and control these processes. But what we're able to do is add a 3rd layer on this. This is very much a strategic layer to now manage the energy consumption and control this building in the most efficient way. What it is, it's a strategic layer. It sits on top, as you said. It uses digital twin, and we run AI technology within that digital twin. What it does then, it then predicts and plans the required energy to meet comfort demands within the building. But it also brings in other factors, weather forecasting, for example. We look at the thermal inertia and storage of the building to first of all, control the building in the most efficient way by maintaining set point, but then also reduce the energy that we're using. I'm just going to quickly jump through these here. Importantly, once you've got the digital twin set up, it takes about 2 weeks to learn, but then we can actually put this into the optimization mode. How we deploy it, very, very similar as before. We might have an existing BMS where then we'd say this could be 3rd party. We can just connect here with one of our controllers to get the values that we need. For example, it could be BACnet, Modbus, whatever, into our database. Similar cloud gateway, an Eco Building gateway. Then we connect to the cloud where the Eco Building platform sits, and then we have access on any device anywhere. Just going to give you an insight for the electrical engineers in this meeting. You'll probably recognize a Sankey, but just to show you how it works, how we build an eco building platform, if you like. First of all, we have to put the building into zones. So create the digital twin, and within that digital twin, there are a number of zones. Now, a zone will be supplied by many energy inputs. So let's look at it in this way as, for example, the gas contract. That gas contract, it could be an electricity contract, for example, that may have variable tariffs, which supply main plants, or in this case, it's gas, which supplies the boiler. Then it goes to a low loss header, should I say. We have a CT circuit, a main VT circuit, which is supplying radiators in each of the spaces, but then also that's also a constant temperature circuit, which is supplying coils, which go through AHUs to also supply the circuits as well. So what we need to do is understand what's supplying this, influencing supply in each of these zones, and then we're able to make adjustments. What I haven't mentioned is in the background, this is a Sankey. In the background, there's something called the Banky. One of the guys that created this, the developers, a guy called Ben, so Banky, created this tool. Now, what that does, is it will look at, like I said, for example, it'll look at the electricity contract. So the idea is taking into fact the thermal inertia that it's learned from the building. We may want to enable the heat pumps during the low tariff period in the evening because we know the building will hold and store enough temperature from that initial firing there to actually maintain set point in the space. Set points in the eco world don't exist as we know it in temperature. This is all about energy. How much energy do we need to get to that specific, or is required to get that specific zone up to temperature at that time and maintain it throughout the day? So the temperatures are very much in kilowatts, kilowatt hours. Okay, electricity. So just showing you an example of eco, how it works. This is quite a complex slide, but you'll see in here we've not only got actual temperatures here, we've also got predictive values as well. So you can see here this value, this line here represents outside air temperature and the influence that actually has on a building. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller and just jump in here, but you'll see we have here two lines. The red line is the maximum temperature that eco permits within a zone. You see over the weekend it's wider than the minimum down here. But then once we come to the occupancy period, these lines close down. And what we have a combination of actual firing of main plant and then the temperature in accordance with the actual requests that it's predicted through there. So the idea is think about this. We could enable heating whatever earlier in the day during the low tariff time if you like, but it doesn't need to run for a long time at all. In this case, this is an extreme site, I think, in Sweden, where the temperature during winter conditions is -7 to 6 maximum, but the heating starts and comes off at 10 a.m. This is actually a very thermal efficient building. Just some numbers of where this worked. It's not a huge site, but what we can say is that when eco was deployed, whether for the period it was deployed from 2021 to 2022, over 15 months, 42.3% was saved on the weather compensated zone. This used district heating, but then actually reduced the kilowatt hour usage by 33%. That resulted in 197,000 kroner. I'm not sure what that is in sterling, but on electricity from the period 20 to 21 over 12 months, we saved 18% on electricity, but then we saved a further 15% on the previous year up to the end of March. So I think we say between 20 and 40% pretty much guaranteed with eco. Okay, so what I'd like to do is actually stop share, come out of this demo now. And what I'd like to do is actually go into the, just end this and go into the real environment. So hopefully you can all still see my screen. What we are now is we're actually in the Priva Digital Services suite now. I've actually logged into Priva Building Operating. You can see here I've got a pull down switch of some of the various sites I've access to within this tenant. So for example, I'm in the Watford office demo, but if I want to jump across and click here, and this takes me straight through to Netherlands, you can see straight away we're getting live demo, the live values actually back. I think the set point here, you can see there looking at pull out a log. So I'm actually pulling live data from the site within Netherlands. Let's just jump back into the UK demo. So if I click here, got a number of hotspots, which show me sort of, oh, sorry, what I didn't show as well is the different applications. I can also jump between my different applications. I've got them open here in tabs just to speed up, just to say to speed up the population time of the pages for the demo. What I'm going to do is going to come through to Watford office, and in here, let's just say, look in the office comfort. Excuse me. In here, I've got, say, a simple time schedule here. Oh, sorry, here a simple set point adjustment here. Just want to swipe and adjust the set point. This is actually integration to Mitsubishi system, which we've got, sorry, a Dakin system we've got here, actually giving the final control. Pull some log data out if I want to from the last log period as well. I can do this automatically, which hopefully I'll get to show you, but important to remember as well, if I just expand this a little bit, I can also export this data as raw CSV as well. So here we go. If I just open this here, we've got a raw CSV data as well. Timestamp. This either done on change of value, but it's thrown up in 5-minute increments. Okay, I won't save that. Right. So I'm just going to go back to the and obviously simple navigation. It really depends how you want to navigate through these screens as well. The AXU. I'm going to go back to the home screen, and what I want to do is just create an alarm. I've got an app running on my phone here, which I think there's a hold off in this alarm for about a minute. So it's gone into failure now. The alarm will go. There you go. There's the bleep on my phone. I hope you can hear. That alarm will have gone into a notification center. But just before I show you that, I'm just going to go into my email. In here, I've got something called notifications. So you see 12:38, the alarm has raised. I've got the email has come in, and there's a number of URLs here. Click on that URL. That will take me straight to the place where the alarm has actually been raised. I'll take that out of alarm, and I'll just shut that URL down. Okay. So the alarm will have gone into the notification center. If I come into the notification center here, I can filter out my active, inactive alarms. So you see this will change. So if you to reset here, so somewhere down here, I should see my alarm test, which has been active for 1 minute. Okay, so very, very powerful. We can actually set up within here a schedule. I'm not going to do it now, but what I can do is set up a schedule for with a number of rules. The idea is that we could reschedule this alarm. Between 8 and 5, I could receive alarms from between 1 minute past 5 to 8 the following morning. A colleague might want to receive, or another engineer want to receive alarms. This can all be done from a mobile phone, any device, anywhere at any time. Very, very powerful. One of the other applications I want to show you is reporting analytics. The idea is here we can also create a number of reports to be sent out to people. We can create one-offs. You can see here it's very much a play environment. Various people have been playing here and there, but I want to show you one of the ones at the bottom. Think about cloud. There's no limit on the amount of data that you can store there, really. That's just around every 5 minutes. So here, this is a report that Rich, our tech manager, has created. And you can see here, you've actually got the real-time data splash. This is actually the raw data that's come in. This is outside air temperature in accordance with the main area CO2. And you can see these values are changing. But what we're able to do is create something called a KPI analysis. So you see here 7.6. What this is actually looking at the ratio of times that we are using those plots, the ratio of times that we're between 600 and 680 ppm. So you can see here, this is showing me that I'm actually below limits 23.8% of the time. If we were above or outside, the controls are asking to achieve a set point. They're given an output. But what this is saying is showing that the mechanical plant would not be achieving that. There's an issue with the mechanical plant. So what we're using is the BMS to identify failures, if you like, or issues, degradation within the mechanical plant that we have. Very, very powerful, very easy to set up and deploy. End users can create their own KPI analysis or reports themselves. Okay. I'm not going to cover access control today. I think pretty much what I'd like to do is just quickly stop sharing for a second and actually ask at this point, does anybody have any questions? No?
Might be a stunned silence, Adrian.
There's a stunned silence. I can carry on going more if anyone has any questions or would like to see any more about it. I'm obviously was conscious of time, but I'm actually ahead of where I thought I'd be at this point. So I hope I've not waffled on too much. But
No, definitely not. I mean, I guess one of my questions would be, so what sort of buildings are you seeing using this technology then? Are you seeing it mainly in offices, or is it being used in all different types of?
so great question. So with the actual digital services, they can be deployed to any site, any building. Because we are able to give this high level of integration in some very large private houses. We actually have cloud connection to large private houses. We're able to integrate with AV systems, for example. That's quite common in the high-end residential, and the people that own those buildings want remote connectivity. So from the phone, it's all about the phone. It's simple, they want to set up that they might have a house that they live in for 2 weeks in a year, but they obviously want to be able to set up and get things to turn on and set up a schedule in advance on their phone anywhere. But equally, the other end of the spectrum, if you want to deploy eco building, there really is a site of a certain size. If you've just got a small primary school, which just say got, for example, one, two, three boilers, it may have a very small heat pump. It may have, one VT circuit and maybe direct fired HWS. Really, that's not the tool for that because there is time to put in and set up and deploy that. With eco building, for example, it's not, and this would be the same for everyone that's offering a package of that type. You you really need to get a lot of data from that building to deploy a package of that type. Every pump, every device has, say, a full load current, running current. We need to understand what that is, but then obviously the other things to example, if you're looking at a building in plan view, it's really the orientation of that building as well, because the solar influence will have a great effect on that building as well, and the building with certain large amounts of glass that will really affect the temperature going on within a building. Another side of that would be that might then have an increased effect on the cooler within certain areas or zones of a building as well. So we hope that in looking at it broadly, it can be put onto a site of any size, but it really depends on the functionality, the technology for that site, really. Okay.
Makes sense. The idea of having a house so large that you need that technology is
Yeah, I
is
think I think one of the
something
important
us mere mortals can only dream of.
yeah, I think one of the important things is retrofit for us. It's a very, very big part of our business, and I think the message that we all as manufacturers and suppliers of these packages need to really get out is how it how we not saying how easy it is, but how we are able to add this technology to existing sites, buildings, networks. It's really we do need to put some more hardware on there, but it's not going to be the huge expense that people think it is. We can really get this deployed and set up, really quite competitive. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can connect a site to the cloud and have this technology, this level of technology, depends what package you go for like say £20 a month, to connect a building to the site, and that gives you connectivity on any device, anywhere, at any time. Then one example of where we've really seen this work was, I won't mention the name of the end user, but we have an end user with many sites. Every time there was a plant failure, an alarm was raised on a plant, they had to deploy a service engineer to go to site. And this is 3 years ago. We had this meeting that was costing them about £260 to send an engineer to site. The alarm came in, someone was able to act on that straight away and decide and prioritize how important that alarm was from their phone. Schedules were created so it was passed around. Some guys could override things automatically from their phone. So straight away, the cost of the subscription for one of the sites covered what would have been a service visit, from an engineer for one of those sites. So it kind of instantly gave payback.
Yeah, definitely pay for itself.
Mhm. So yeah, we hope so. But also it's ongoing as well, with analytical tools as well. It's you're having these reports which now we're able to, because we don't have this limit on the amount of data, and data is thrown at every 5 minutes. The phrase data lakes, this is really what this is. We're able to manipulate, analyze, and deploy these reports which show degradation. And it's really not an expensive thing to do. And the visibility, what we're doing and giving to clients, that interface is really quite simple to use. The fact that clients can create their own reports, I think these are major sort of steps forward. Really, we're giving more ownership to the client, to the end user client, really, or certainly making them feel they have that control over their own systems. Any more questions from anybody?
Yeah, so someone's just put a question in the chat for you.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned use of AI.
Yeah.
Can that be demonstrated? In what use cases is it being utilized?
Yeah, it's I think what I'd like to do with the AI, it's very much a different meeting. And please, what we'd like to do is we're at Smart Building Show, or please contact me afterwards. It's not a product that I'm directly involved in, the eco building platform. I think that's something that we'd like to do with you, because it's very much a a different mechanism. Yes, we'd really like to show you how the Benki works, how it makes its assumptions. But I think really with the time that we have, it's not really something that I'm really, so I can't answer that today, but I would really like to have the opportunity to do that with you. If we could come and see us at Smart Building Show if you're going. If not, please send me an email, and we can arrange to have that meeting with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, now great. Thanks, Eugene. Yeah, yeah.
Something was chat, but I think they've finished. So I think maybe you may have answered that question there. So yes, I don't know if there are a couple more slides you wanted to show, or if you wanted to finish a bit early. Someone is still typing in the chat, but we'll wait, because it could just be I've done this before and it's someone just saying thank you very much.
If
So
it's easy, John, just okay. No, thank you, John. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, so I'll leave it up to you, Adrian, if there's any more slides you want to show in the next 5 minutes.
I'm good. I'm just
Yeah.
I think I think we've covered the problem. This is very large, and hopefully we've covered the concept. The important concept is you're not limited on the device, because of the vector scaling that I said. So don't be concerned about the size of the device you want to interface with, but very clearly and very importantly, you have access within your, what you call your tenant, to all your sites and all your applications within a single environment. It's a great step forward, and it's the world that people really want to work in and live in now, I think. So yeah, great, exciting times for everybody, and it's only going to get better and better and better. This changes by weeks. So how customizable are the dashboards and widgets? Very. I mean, what I showed you in that environment, Francis, was very much the engineering tool. So what you an engine, it's the graphics that you use on a site, so it's infinitely customizable. If you want to have your own backgrounds, images, PNGs, graphics, SVGs, whatever you want to use, you can add those into the project. When you do your metadata upload, that's what's uploaded and is represented or presented to you as part of the package. Yeah, it really depends. Like I said as well, if you have a package where you want to pull data from us to a third-party package, we can do that via APIs as well. Does that answer your question okay, Francis? Thank you. Yeah, excellent stuff.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you in particular as well to Adrian for today's presentation. We will be sending out a copy of the slides to everyone who's attended today, and there will be a copy of the recording available on our members portal. I would just like to remind everyone that we run these sessions once a month, a 1 hour free CPD style session. So there will be another one coming up next month. I believe it falls on Halloween, so whether it will be spooky, we to be seen. But yeah, no, thank you very much, Adrian, for your time today, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks.